What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Wallet Monkey channel, where we give you all the credit intel you need to grow your wallet. Today, what I wanted to talk about is just general things to avoid within the credit game. There is a lot of channels, advice, and people, talking in your ear out there. And even though they're not describing and giving the technical term for some of this stuff, what they're explaining are the things that we're gonna cover here. So there's three big things that I wanna cover, and then we're gonna branch off and kind of go into some tangents, right? So first things first is it's generally not a good idea to, especially if it's all based on your education level, right? And what you're really trying to go for. Now, if you're just trying to stick it back to the man, you never really had credit before, you got credit, and you're trying to get back at them to a degree, credit card churning and manufactured spending, probably things you want to avoid, lying on applications as well. So let's dive into each one of these, right? So credit card churning is where you've just identified some cards that have great bonuses, and some of them will give the bonus up front, some of them after you've spent a certain amount of money. The whole goal is to get that bonus as fast as possible before you've got any sort of annual fee or anything else kind of comes home to roost, and then you close that account down, and then basically the next year do the same thing over again. Well, here's the big issue, is Chase and Amex have some of the best rewards programs, and they all use internal data points. So not only does Chase have 5x24, which I don't know what are you gonna try and then get that account removed off your credit report and get that wiped, all that history and transactions and whatnot. So you've got that working against you. And then Amex is, they've got an internal score that they use against you. So they're gonna get you, I guess is my point eventually. And so it's like, you gotta really question why you're doing this. Was like a couple $1,000s that you might have gotten away with worth not being able to get any cards with them ever again? I would say no, but again, you got to answer that for yourself. So that's credit churning, is just basically going through the rewards hustle, getting it all, closing the account, wait until next year, doing the same thing all over again, right? Next is manufactured spending. Now, some people stumble on this and they don't realize what exactly they're doing. So manufactured spending can operate in many different ways. I'll give you one that used to exist that people stumbled on that didn't realize what was happening until after the fact. Is Apple used to allow you to get your refund back on any card. So if I go to Apple and I spend $30,000 buying, who knows what, computers, phones, etc., right? And it's like, oh man, something happened, or man, I don't want this, I changed my mind, go take it back. Guess what? They'll put the 30 grand back on your debit card. Let that sink in. So we just did a cash advance without the 23% or whatever percent that they would charge on the credit card. We bought it on the credit card, still there, hasn't gone away, did not get returned to the credit card, got put on a checking account instead. So there's a ton of places, I will tell you this, there's a ton of places that still do that. Even though Apple stopped, because there was hundreds of people, probably thousands, abusing this all over America to get essentially a cash advance on their credit card. So because that happened, Apple no longer does that. So that's what happens when you talk about these things and get real loud about these tricks and these hacks. Some of them, right, is the loophole gets closed. And so another way to do this, and the thing you gotta be careful with, is buying too many gift cards. So gift card is another way to manufacture spend, meaning we go and get gift cards off the credit card, so then we can use those gift cards to fund regular transactions into business accounts, into personal accounts. We can set up different ACHs or something. Just we're using that in some sort of other way. And if you buy too many gift cards in a short amount of time, or too big of limits, who knows what the barriers are? It's gonna depend on the bank. You just gotta be careful with that, because that can trigger it, and that can be looked at as a means of manufactured spending. And there's other ways. I'm sure there's new ways that people are coming up with that I don't know about, or other ways that exist right now that I don't know about. It doesn't really matter. It's if there's something that can be misconstrued that puts your account at risk, depending on where you are in this game and what you're trying to do, might not be a good idea. That's it. That's my whole point on that. Now, the last one should be fairly obvious, but it is a common question. So, should you lie on your application? Oh man, because it's stated income on 99% of banks, right? When we're trying to get a credit card. Man, I could just say, Jay, that I make 100 grand, even though I make 30, right? Who's gonna know? I could say I make 60 when I make 20. Nobody's gonna know, Jay. And you know what? You might be right. and you might get away with that. And you might go nail a $20,000 card, and you might go nail a $50,000 card. I have no idea. I'll just tell you what I do. I usually make it within $5,000 to $10,000 of what is actually going on and projecting right now, of what I'm doing, what I'm making. And the reason why is because I know I can just go and sell. If I needed to do like a 4506 T or C or whatever form they're going to try and have you fill out, I know that if I were to do that, I could probably go and close a 5 or 10K deal on something, and that would save me. So that would put me within the exact range that I said. And I think most banks would have an allowance for that. And I'll give you some examples. There's been many times where we stated the income, let's say we stated the income was like 120, but that was for last year. We're on track for 80 this year. Oops, that's a $40,000 difference, a $20,000 difference. I would say, again, within range, and as long as it's explainable, usually doesn't matter and is usually okay, but that's entirely up to you. Do not listen to me at all with what I'm saying right now. If that puts you at risk for not getting the card or getting audited or something, do not do it. Like, that should be obvious. Don't do it. Don't think you're being slick. Like I watched some YouTube videos and I'm gonna be slick over here. It's not worth it in the end. Because there could be variables that they're tapping into and using that you don't know. Maybe they're not giving you all the information. Maybe they're telling you it's super simple when it's not. Maybe the loophole just changed today and you saw the video yesterday. There could be a million things that go wrong in that. I would just say that, if your wages have changed for the year, or like Corona was a bad year or something, then just explain that. And yes, pick your best year, and then be ready to back that up if you need to, with W-2s, with statements, bank statements, etc., some sort of proof of income, right? And outside of that, like if you are knowing that you're kind of stretching the truth, then be willing to go and put skin in the game to make that true, like I would, right? And so anyways, that's what I do with that. Again, remember, a lot of this is stated with credit unions. They will almost always ask you for proof. It's like a large amount of time they will. There's, again, a few that won't, or maybe with the limit you got to prove for, they don't need it. It's something less than $10,000, maybe they're not going to care as much. I don't know. But just assume that with a credit union, they're going to ask you for some sort of proof of income, statements or something, right? And if you don't provide, or you can't provide, or it doesn't match up, the underwriter's not going to approve you, because that is going across an underwriter's desk. There's a lot less automation at a credit union, especially if it's a smaller credit union. And so that's just something to think about. Now, the last thing I'll say, Code 41, there is a whole world out there that you probably don't know about, and it is called consumer credit protection, consumer law, consumer finance law, whatever you want to call it. And you could spend and you could dedicate a large amount of time reading through all of this and understanding it and realizing how it defines people and what it defines, and you're going to find some really interesting things. There are ways to get things removed or reclassified or hidden off of your file. And if you know how to do those things, well, then what we just talked about, like, it's different for you. You know what I mean? That's why I said I started this off with saying education is key, because the more you know, the more you can do, and I would even argue the more you could get away with. But just coming out of the gates, like just trying to be slick, just don't do it. Probably better to just not do it and stick with what you know. But if you want to go into the deep end and get into the actual code and how it's written, it's very interesting. I will say that. I'll leave it at that. It's very interesting with some of the definitions, the way they define us as consumers, debtors, etc. It's very, very interesting, and there is a lot of room for interpretation in these definitions, and you can use that to your advantage. Okay, so again, that is not for everybody. I don't want to go super deep into that and lead you down the wrong direction or lead you down the direction that you can't commit to. But yeah, if you're just a regular guy trying to run down the middle, these are probably really, really bad ideas for you. Anyways, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you just want to help us out with the algorithms, that's cool too. Click the like button. Again, it helps us get in front of more people, helps us grow this community. Thank you so much for your support, for your constant viewing in on these. We really appreciate it. And if you're brand new here, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Be on the lookout. More videos coming soon.